In this video, we will discuss the curricular and pedagogical implications of the shifting rotation schedule under a Hyflex or concurrent teaching model. Right. Now, the Hyflex concurrent model is quite straightforward, especially as far as the schedule of rotations. The answers to the 3CQ+1 are more straightforward for the Hyflex model than for the transition blended learning model. Okay, recall what is 3CQ+1, what are the on-site students taking up, what are the remote students taking up, will it allow all students to successfully achieve the unit objectives, and the +1 is what content will be completed for the quarter. Right, so let's take the 3CQ+1 and recall that in the Hyflex concurrent model, the teacher delivers the lesson to the students on site, and via some kind of video conferencing app, students online can participate in real time in the lesson, right? Since the online students can attend and participate in the on-site lessons in real time, then there is less likelihood that there will be a very uneven treatment of content for the batch that is in school and the batch that is online. Both on-site and online batches are taking up the same content, so there is greater likelihood with this Hyflex model that all students will be able to achieve the unit objectives. Right. So our +1 question is, what content will be completed for the quarter? The teacher has more control over the pacing of the content for the quarter. And he or she, the teacher, can make strategic decisions about which content can be allotted less time and which can be given more time. The teacher can make decisions about, let's say I need to repeat this part of the lesson because the on-site students didn't understand it so well. And I think the online students also seem to have had questions. So that kind of decision-making and flexibility on the part of the teacher is very easy to do with a Hyflex model. Those are the curricular implications, and that was the example for the 3CQ+1 formula. Right. So now we need to analyze pedagogical implications. As we did in the previous chapter, chapter 3, we used the 2DQ+1, the 2 doing questions plus 1 how question on the Hyflex model. What are the on-site students doing? And what are the remote students doing, or the online students doing? The best way to think about the 2DQ+1 model is to think of different types of learning activities. Right? And so let's just try out the 2DQ+1 analysis for a few of the more common types of class activities that teachers conduct. In the primer, there is a detailed discussion of how to use the 2DQ+1 based on several types of common learning activities: direct instruction, teacher-led class discussions, collaborative groupings that lead to higher order thinking on the part of the students, activities where the students are creating products together or creating a performance, making some kind of output together. For this video, we will give you a glimpse of just the first two: direct instruction and teacher-led whole class discussions. All right. This will also be the same 2DQ+1 analysis for any whole class type of grouping activity. Question 1, what are the on-site students doing? When teachers give direct instruction, for example, the teacher is giving a lecture and PowerPoint presentation, the teachers usually conduct, together with the lecturer, some kind of whole class discussion led by the teacher. In this case, the teacher will be in the classroom with the on-site students and will give the lecture as he or she usually does. The on-site students will be listening to the teacher and participating in the lecture by raising their hands and reciting. Question 2, what are the online students doing? When teachers give direct instruction, the online students are watching and listening to what is happening in the classroom via video conferencing technology. Question 3, so how will this lecture and class discussion take place? Now, it will be quite tricky for schools to set up the video cameras and microphones in such a way as to best capture the teacher, the blackboard or whiteboard, and the students in the classroom. So decisions will have to be made about how to do this in a way that's very effective. Decisions will also have to be made about whether or not to project the gallery view of the online students to the rest of the class. Right. So those decisions have to be made. What will be projected on screen? Will the students on the video conference app be shown to the students in the classroom? What will the camera in the classroom focus on? Only the teacher and the blackboard? Will the students online see the students in the classroom? All these questions will have to be worked out. What the online students will be able to see and hear will depend on the equipment and technical resources that the school has access to. For most schools, the video camera is just usually fixed on the teacher. So the teacher's movements are limited. The teacher has to stay in one place. Teacher notes on the whiteboard or blackboard may be too hard for the online students to see. So some schools opted for the teachers to do any kind of board work on an electronic whiteboard, which they project on screen for both batches of students on site and online to see, right? Another technical issue crops up when students on site recite, because their voices usually cannot be picked up by the microphone that the teacher is using. So schools using the Hyflex model will have to find ways to address all of these. For sure, there will be trade-offs that the school will have to make, balancing constraints and resources available. You might want to get a very good microphone, but it will cost a lot. And so not all classrooms will be able to have that kind of microphone. So these choices need to be looked into. And the school needs a lot of time to prepare for this, right? From my experience, the other challenge is that ambient noises like those coming from electric fans also need to be dealt with. These are all discussed in more detail in the primer, but these kinds of questions and these kinds of considerations are important in the +1 question of how will these activities be implemented, right? So try it out. If you are leaning towards adopting the Hyflex model, think through the 3CQ+1 and the 2DQ+1 questions for your school context. Right? And you can always check out the primer, chapter 4, which discusses all the types of learning activities and their implications on curriculum and pedagogy in greater detail. Thank you.